This is Brian Schwartz with AuthorDock. In this quick presentation, Elizabeth Roderick is going to run through the outcomes that you should expect to get and the things you're going to be involved in when you join the collaborative pitch room, which we'll talk more about in the future. But for now, I wanted to give you a quick overview, actually have Elizabeth give you a quick overview of how this whole online pitch party, query combat, pitch war stuff works. So Elizabeth, I'll let you take it from here.
All right, thanks, Brian. My name's Elizabeth Roderick, and I am a published author. I have 5 books out now. Here are 3 of them. And I sold 2 of these through pitch parties on Twitter. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what those are all about, since they're a great new tool for authors to use to not only learn a lot about writing and the market, but to actually get published. So online writing competitions, some of you might not be familiar even with what these are, but they're different than a normal writing competition. In a normal writing competition, you often have to pay a fee and you send in your best work and you either win or you lose. But with a online writing competition, the ones I'm going to be talking about, they are usually mentor-based or they have a critique component. So even if you don't quote-unquote win, you still get feedback on your entry, which can be invaluable. And even if you don't win the contest, you end up having a better query and stuff to go forward. And also, they're always free. None of these cost any money. So
maybe talk about the 3 different types.
Yes, there's 3 types. The mentor-based, which are when you work one-on-one with a mentor to improve your entry. And then there's a critique-based, which will be you're getting critiques from professionals, either published authors or agents or editors, as well as usually your peers in the contest. So you get a lot of feedback. And then the 3rd type is pitch parties, where you just pitch your novel in a 140 character tweet. And you don't get feedback in those, but it's a good way to attract agents and editors. They come to you. If they like your tweet, then you know to pitch them. So you don't have to do all that research of what agents and editors are right for your manuscript and if they're accepting queries.
And what you're pitching is just queries in those cases. In fact, all of these, you're just basically pitching a query, maybe the first 250 words of your manuscript.
Yeah, all some of the contests you will actually be working with a mentor with a full manuscript. Most of them are either a query in the first page or even just an elevator pitch,
Gotcha.
which is a 35 word. And the pitch parties are just a 140 character tweet. You have to fit everything into one tweet, which is a whole different art form.
Right. Okay, thanks.
So, like I was saying, most online writing competitions have a critique or mentoring component. So you have a opportunity to make your entry better, make your query and then first page or your whole manuscript better. And then they have an agent editor round where the winning entries get requests from agents or editors. And they provide great opportunities to meet other writers and industry professionals, and you can connect with them. You can make friends with agents. That doesn't necessarily mean that they'll be your agent, but you can learn a lot from them. And if I know people who have gotten agents just by being friends with them on Twitter, and they see you talking about your novel, and they're like, "Hey, that sounds like something I'd love to see." So Twitter and these competitions are a great way to get involved in the community.
It kind of gets you to the cocktail party, right? The virtual
Yeah.
belly up to the bar, and this is where the agents and publishers are hanging out.
Correct.
Okay. So in these next slides, you're going to talk a little bit about some of the typical contests that are run out there that we're going to be helping authors. You're going to help facilitate the submissions, right?
Yes. A place that I started learning about all these contests was on the Summit Club Contest Roundup, but those newsletters are getting sometimes they don't come out until mid-month and you've missed some of them, and they're getting less organized with that. But you can always check on there if you want to see if we've missed anything. But I generally have it more together than they do at this point, so I'll try to keep all of our calendars updated on AuthorDock.
Okay, and what do they need to have in order to participate?
For these online writing contests, the most important thing to have is a complete and polished manuscript. Like I said, you'll often be working with an agent or editor or mentor to make your entry better, but you do want to put your best work forward to begin with. So a completed manuscript that you've gone through at least once and done your editing. And then your manuscript has to be unpublished, which is generally not self-published either. So if you have self-published it, Brian can help you go through the process of taking that off the market. And you also have to be unagented. You can have other manuscripts published, but the one that you're pitching has to be unpublished, and you can't have an agent for any of your manuscripts. So,
well, for any of the ones that you're pitching, but like in your case, you already been published, but you're now looking for another agent, right?
Yeah, I've been published, and I have decided to look for an agent, so I could participate in these contests. I generally don't, because I am a judge in some of them, and so it would be kind of weird.
Right. Conflict of interest, yeah.
Yeah, but I could still if I wanted to.
So the one thing about the unpublished and the self-published, so one of the things I advise authors to do is hold off on publishing their print edition until they've gone through this process and sort of exhausted the route of finding a traditional publisher or an agent. So usually that's the first 6 to 12 months of the book. We will often put it up on Kindle just so they can get some feedback. When they decide to start submitting and they join the pitch room, we will unpublish their Kindle edition, and then we will actually contact Amazon and have them remove the listing completely. Now, it's probably worth mentioning that if an author has spent a lot of time promoting their book already, and they're out there as the book's been published, and it's the same title of the book you're publishing through these different contests with Elizabeth, that's pretty risky, because they're going to look you up, and then they see that, hey, this book's already been published. You're basically going to be blacklisted from a lot of these. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, if you and some of them are lenient, but if you are a presence already on the internet, and they're gonna maybe have heard of your book already, or if you have a info trail that shows that you did have the book published before, some of them might look askance at that. So yeah, try. I mean, if you just had it up there basically so you could share it with friends and family and stuff like that, that's not gonna. They're not gonna.
Right, and actually, I might even advise that we change the title of the manuscript completely if they want to take it down and go down this route because they haven't succeeded down the self-published route. Then we can, the reality is not too many copies are probably out there anyway, so we'll unpublish it and then submit it with a new title, would be my suggestion, just to avoid that.
That would work. Okay, so the first type of contest I was talking about is the mentor-based, and this is where the chosen entrants work with a mentor to polish their entry. The amount of the manuscript from contest to contest varies. Sometimes it's a full manuscript and a query, and sometimes it's just the query or first page. The biggest and most famous of these contests is Pitch Wars. This is when the chosen entrants have 2 months to go through their entire manuscript with a mentor. And the mentor often asks for huge substantive changes, like they'll have you add characters or remove characters to completely change the plot. And it's a really in-depth process with Pitch Wars, and the mentors are top-notch published authors with agents and that have been hand-chosen by Brenda Drake, the one who runs this contest, and is a tough competition with thousands of entrants from all over the English-speaking world. The entry in this one includes a query letter and first chapter of the manuscript, and you should always have your synopsis ready, because often if the mentors are going to ask you for more information, because usually you enter the query in first chapter, and then if they like you, they're going to ask you for more material.
Okay.
So have the synopsis ready, and it's a great place to meet other authors and industry professionals. And this begins in August, around August, so it's a good time to start prepping for this one.
Perfect.
Another one that happens around Halloween is Nightmare on Query Street. It takes place around Halloween, but it's not limited to horror novels. And these contests usually take all age levels and genres, except for sometimes picture books and erotica. And like all these contests, you want to check the rules before each one, because they do change. And AuthorDock we can help you with that too, because I know where to go to look, so it's a lot easier for me. And this one, on Nightmare on Query Street, the entrants work with a mentor on their query and first page to polish it for the agent round. This one's fairly popular as well, and all of them are getting more popular, but there are new ones showing up all the time. So Another one is pitch to publication, and this is another one where you work 5 weeks with an editor on your whole manuscript. And this one, the entry is the query in first 5 pages of your manuscript.
So the one common thread with the last few ones you've talked about is the submitting process is to get you into the first round of being connected with a mentor, right? Like not
Correct.
Everyone steps in, gets a mentor.
No, it's really, on all of these, the competition is really
to get a mentor.
Competition just even to get into the contest. Mm-hmm. And so you really have to put your best work forward to begin with. And some of them they even have, before the competition, they'll have a chance to get feedback from other entrants. Like they'll have little chat rooms where you can exchange with people. And AuthorDock is just the higher level of that, since I'll be looking at I'll be looking at your entry, and probably some of the other people on AuthorDock will have a chance to collaborate with each other. So
right, and it's almost an analogy. It's kind of like Shark Tank, where inventors go and pitch their ideas to the investors, and if investors are interested in it, of course they're going to make the inventor an offer, or the entrepreneur an offer. This is done on a much different scale, but it's writers now trying to convince those who have some power to get them published to take them under their wing, right?
Yeah. And then and so they, you have thousands of people trying to get into the first round, mm-hmm. which is just to work with the mentor. And then after you work with the mentor, you go on to the agent round. And usually most of the manuscripts that go onto the agent round get requests. I mean, some of them get dozens of requests.
Right.
And a lot of people that make it into that final round get an agent. Of course, not everyone does, but they're great opportunities.
Well, and the reason why I understand why agents are using this technique, because it essentially allows them to vet their slush pile of manuscripts, because good agents are getting way more submissions than they'll ever have time to read. So They're letting this process essentially vet out what is even worth taking a second look at.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, they have a lot of faith in these contests to take in the best of the best, and so it definitely helps them cut through the slush a little bit. And it still is a subjective thing, so not everybody gets the agent from these contests, but a lot of them do, because it definitely makes your manuscript better and your query better. And so, and even a lot of people who don't get an agent through the contest, if they make it in, end up getting one later on, just because they great
Right,
entry.
and I also think this whole process is going to help authors tighten up their work. And if you can convince an agent or somebody who would be a mentor to take a second look at your manuscript, you're getting closer to what would probably hook a reader. Like that first 250 words, I mean, that's key, whether it's the description of the book or the first 250 words that they're going to read when they download a preview. I mean, these are things that most authors aren't even considering, and of course, they're wondering why their books aren't doing better.
Yes, and I mean these even if you end up self-publishing later, these contests will still get you involved in the community, and you'll learn a lot about writing. You'll make friends that will be your critique partners,
Right.
and and stuff, and you'll likely get feedback from those people, and you'll end up being more prepared to self-publish, even if that's what you end up doing. And also, I tried to get into Pitch Wars and a couple of these other ones, and I did not get into the contests at all. And yet, a couple weeks after I didn't get into Pitch Wars, I got an offer on my first manuscript, so with the same manuscript that I had put in.
Right,
Um,
through a process of the extra exposure that you got in the right
yeah,
place, the right eyeballs were there.
correct.
Okay,
So
well,
it
let's
helped
move
me.
on to the critique-based competitions.
Okay, and these are where you usually just have a smaller entry, your query and first page. Um, and some of them are first come, first serve. Well, they'll just take the first 50 entrants so you have to be really quick on your email button. And then some of them, gather hundreds and hundreds of entries, and they have slush readers that choose some out for the first round. And then um, uh, you'll work with a whole bunch of judges that will give you critiques and also some peer critiques. And then you'll get to revise your entry to go into the agent round. And so these are really great ways to get critique. And even if you don't make it in, like if you follow the feeds, you can see some great advice on how to make your query and first page really attractive for agents and readers.
Gotcha.
An example of a critique-based competition is Son of a Pitch, and that's one that I am a mentor or a judge in. And if you go to my blog at Tales from Purgatory and you scroll down to the Son of a Pitch entries, you can see what the entries are like, and then you can look at the comments to see how we go through critiquing and revising the pitches. And so it's a great way to learn, kind of get comfortable in what these contests are about.
Perfect.
Query Combat is another one. It's actually going on right now. I'm a judge in this one, and this one you submit your query in first 250 words, and then a battle to the death ensues. The contest promoters, they match up the entries, and so two groups of two of them face off against each other, and the judges go in and not only give critique, but they choose one entry to win. And so the one who wins in each pair goes on to the next round, but they also get a chance to revise their entry before the next round each time. And so out of 64 entries, one is left at the end. But if you make it into round 2, then you get agent requests. So the competition is getting pretty fierce in this one as well. I think we had around 500 entries, and the readers had to pick 64. But they also have, before the contest, they have a critique round just for pure critique. So you get to revise before you even try to enter. So it's a great competition.
Okay.
And Son of a Pitch is the one that I was talking about before that I also judge on. And this one is first come, first serve, or that's how we've done in the past, where it's the first 50 entries get in. And in round 1, you have a chance to get your entry polished before the judges even look at it. And then the judges leave critiques on every entry, and then we vote on our favorites, and the top 20 go into the agent round. it says next contest should be in February, and that one's already gone by. I think our next one is in July or August. So
Okay, we'll update that, and that's good. Yeah, the team, everybody in the room will be notified well in advance so that they can prepare their submission. And then it's worth mentioning too that while they only accept 50, there's other competitions like this out there, right?
yes, there's a lot of them, and they're changing all the time. And as soon as and I keep an eye on all of them, since I judge in a lot of them, and I'm also friends with a lot of the other judges. So as soon as they announce when the dates are, I put those in the calendar.
Perfect.
And Pitch Madness is another one run by Brenda Drake, who runs Pitch Wars, the big one. And so this is another big one. And this one happened in February, and I think it will happen next February. And this one is your entry is an elevator pitch, which is 35 words maximum. So not even your query, just an elevator pitch and the first page. And slush readers choose 60 entries out of the hundreds and hundreds that they get. So we can work on elevator pitches on AuthorDock as well for the next round of this
Right,
one.
it's never too soon to probably start preparing for this one.
You need all of these things, no matter which way you're going with your career. And then there is Pitch Slam, which is another one with an elevator pitch in 250 words. And every entrant gets feedback on this one from the judges. And then after that, they resubmit their entries and finalists are selected. And the finalists go into the agent round. So this one's usually held in September, and as soon as they announce this one, I'll put it on the calendar as well.
Okay, we got a lot coming up for the end of the summer.
Oh yeah. Okay, the third type that third type of contest I was talking about are the pitch parties, and these are happening all the time. The next one coming up is actually just in a few days, but the biggest one is Pit Mad, and that one happens like 3 or 4 times a year. But there are a lot of other ones. This one is where you tweet your pitch along with the hashtag for the pitch party, as well as your novel's genre and age group. So writing a Twitter pitch is a whole different animal that I can walk you through on AuthorDock as well. And it's you have to have fewer than 140 characters because you have to fit those hashtags in, and so it can be a real art form.
Right.
So, and then this one, you just tweet the pitch on the day of the pitch party, and they all have different rules about how many times you can do it, and agents and editors will go through and favorite, like they'll click the little heart on your tweet.
Right.
And if they do that, then you know to pitch them. So you don't have to do all that research. Pit Mad is the big one that I was talking about. And right now, I think it was June 6th that the next one is happening. This one, you tweet 3 times per day.
3 different tweets or the same one 3 times?
You can do either one of those. Okay. It's best to have a couple of different options, because I have tweeted one pitch and got no favorites, and then tweeted a slightly different version or taken just a different tactic on the whole pitch, and then gotten a dozen favorites. So you never really know what is going to catch people's eye, so it's good to have a few in your pocket.
Right, and it's worth noting too that we'll definitely have another tutorial once you're in the room on how to actually submit through Twitter using hashtags, and how you can search other submissions using the same hashtags. You can see, the great thing about this whole process is it's so transparent, right? So you can see everything the same as the judges do. There's no place to hide. There's no way to game the system other than the fact that you just need to know how to submit correctly. Otherwise, you're going to get kicked out on the street or be ineffective or miss the window that you need.
Yeah.
In fact, here's a good example of what they'll see. Yep.
Yeah. If you these are some of the ones that I like I was saying. See that these are 4 different pitches for the same book, and the first 3 got no favorites, and then I tried a slightly different pitch, and got 8
I
favorites.
see that.
So, but this is what a Twitter pitch looks like, and that's how short they have to be, and you have to have all those hashtags so that so you can go through, the agent can go through and search not only the pit mad, which is the pitch party, but if they want only young adults, so they search YA, hashtag pit mad, and so they can find just the ones they want. So you have to be able to fit all those on there too. So
now, so if the number of likes or hearts are going to draw attention from an agent, are people collaborating to get as many people as they can to click on the like of a tweet they just sent out?
oh no, if you are not an agent or an editor, if you're not supposed to like the tweet at all. So there's no way, the number of likes won't get you more views.
Got it.
It's just that if the agents and editors scroll through the entire feed, and if they do like your pitch, they click the heart as they go through.
And it shows up in their profile. I mean, their list, so they can go back and look at it again.
Correct.
And then, of course, it's part of it too is understanding that when a message comes in through Twitter, that you know how to respond to that, because it's a much different form of communication than email or Skype or instant messaging or anything else that most people are familiar with, right?
Correct. And if anybody's not on Twitter, and it can seem like a scary jungle-like atmosphere if you aren't used to it, I can help you navigate Twitter as well. It's really once you get used to it, it's pretty user-friendly, but I can help you understand what the ins and outs of it are.
Great. And this is just in closing.
Yes, and like I said, I've been putting all of the upcoming pitch parties in the calendar, and I will keep doing that, and I'll be here to answer questions and to critique your pitches and your queries. So you can make sure you get all the opportunities that you can.
Excellent. And let me show also, we've got some more information that I will include in the link with this video, is just an overview of really what is involved with the AuthorDock pitch room. So I'll send you guys a link to this. So you saw this when you first signed up, but for anybody new who might be watching this video, it's a good overview of what Elizabeth is going to provide, what the AuthorDock does, why it's such a good tool for this submission and for this process to get you into the mix. And like I said, our shared goal is to make you guys successful and get you help you land some agents and publishers, because that is the greatest challenge that we're facing today. And the reason I've really shifted gears from the self-publish recommendation, and this really is for fiction primarily and creative nonfiction. I think for nonfiction, it's still great if you can get traditionally published, but it's not necessarily this method that's going to get you there. But because there's so many books being published every day, and my calculations, over 5,000 new Kindle books are published daily, it's becoming near impossible for a fiction author to get any exposure, to really get any traction without a huge marketing budget or without a huge amount of following to begin with, meaning a platform that you've already built. And maybe it's your third or fourth book and you're able to build some momentum, but generally this is going to help you get off to a much better start. And even if you do want to self-publish in the future, getting a couple books with a traditional publisher is going to give you so much credibility and so much more exposure. And in my mind, really, Amazon in a large way is looking at publishers, and they have to find a way to vet out what they're even showcasing with and what's even ranking on their searches, because it's a major issue for them right now. There's so many titles published every day that their own customers are having a hard time finding, of course, a title and picking a title. So they're actually doing things like they're already starting to do some different ranking and charts that they're using to help readers just find titles that they might be interested in reading. So is there anything else, Elizabeth, you want to leave the folks with?
I think I covered it, only that, I am paying it forward as much as I can to try to help anyone else navigate this system, because it's helped me grow. It's not only gotten me publishing contracts, but it's helped me grow as an author. And but I also know how kind of unknowledgeable and scared and how many mistakes I made when I walked in. I mean, making mistakes is a part of the learning process, but if I had had someone to help me navigate it, it would have been a lot smoother, and the learning curve would have been a lot less steep. So I just want to be here to answer questions and help however I can.
All right, and then last thing I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to bring over the AuthorDock room. Let me go find it. Okay, sorry I didn't have this ready previously. But this is basically the start of what AuthorDock, which you'll have access to. And you can see that everything is derived around this punch list, which has due dates. And the punch list also, you can see the timeline of what's coming up. You can actually see a calendar, so you can see when you need to submit what. And you'll be notified every time there's something that you need to do. And all the details are right in the punch list item. There's also war rooms, which is where we can collaborate with other authors. You can get some sample queries. You can get a lot of information. The contacts page will have where to go in and submit, so there's no mystery there. But like I said, it all goes around the punch. It all centers around the punch list and deadlines, because you need smaller deadlines that lead into the larger deadline, which is the submission deadline. You need someone like Elizabeth to help really get you ready to submit and make sure that your work is polished. And then you need the help of other authors to give you encouragement. Like every time an author submits to Elizabeth, you'll actually see it, and it will be a very loud reminder that you need to submit as well. And you can review what they've submitted and get some ideas. You can ask for feedback from other authors. And we are growing this now, of course. Over a period of time, there'll be a lot more authors, and the more we get on board, the better this is all going to be. So this is just a quick snapshot of what you're going to be getting access to when you join. So thanks, Elizabeth. Thanks, folks, for watching, and let me know if you have any questions. Have a great day.
Thanks, Brian.